All right, we are live. The Minnesota Vikings have fired general manager Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. This is happening pretty quickly. This happened seemingly at the snap of a finger, and this is going to be a stream where we go back over the past couple of years. We break everything down. I mean, it's pretty clear why or where we are today, and this is, I mean, look, this is a reaction I completely understand. And for Kwesi to get fired, I will say I'm not the biggest fan of the timing of this. Oh wait, hold on. Let's not do that. There we go. All right. I will say I'm not the biggest fan of the timing for this specifically because Kwesi was down at the Senior Bowl this week. There were a bunch of pictures of Kwesi on the field down at the Senior Bowl, and people were. They were getting their jokes in about Kwesi and how he's going to, or how he doesn't even know what he's looking at. And people, I mean, they were some ruthless comments if we're being correct or if we're being direct about this. But I don't understand the timing of this to be able to just after the Senior or during Senior Bowl practices and then the day before the Senior Bowl game is played, why you make this move now? Because this is one where, I mean, how much could have changed between week 18 and now? This is one where I can't say I understand the timing. I completely understand the decision because Kwesi did it to himself. And within Kwesi's time as the general manager, there were legitimately all-time bad draft classes. And okay, so I'm finding this out in real time. The Vikings will not hire a GM until after the draft. Rob Brzezinski, who has been there for a long time, will run the show. Okay. Oh boy, this is a lot to maneuver. This is a lot to just digest live. Kwesi was fired 16 minutes ago. We're live. Rob Brzezinski's going to run the show. Okay. Rob is a big cap guy. He's been a huge cap guy for years. And my initial reaction to that is, I don't know Rob's intel as a draft guy, but it can't be worse than what we saw with Kwesi. No disrespect intended, but he was fired for a reason. And to go back to what really started all of this off with Kwesi, we have to go back to the infamous 2022 NFL draft. And the Vikings, again, truly an all-time bad class. The only player that was salvageable for this team was Jalen Nailor, and I like Jalen Nailor, but he's not. I mean, you can't have an entire draft class based off of one player, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this draft class up here, and I want to really let me pull this up here. I want to. I'm gonna zoom in here in a second, but this is what started. This is what started everything. Was this class right here? So you look at this class. This is the all-time bad class. Lewis Cine, Andrew Booth, Ed Ingram, Brian Asamoah, Caleb Evans. Those are your first 5 picks. You had 4 in the top 70. Lewis Cine is I mean, he played like something like 10 total snaps for the Vikings defensively. He had more special team snaps. Andrew Booth was also a bust. He was picked up by some UFL team recently, or some other not NFL league. Ed Ingram, not a great starter, played for the Texans this year. You got some starts out of him, but certainly not worth a second-round pick. Very underwhelming. And Brian Asamoah was a player that was majorly a special teams player. I was hoping more from him, hoping he could eventually be the Kendricks successor. Obviously, that didn't work out. And obviously not to the level of Kendricks because he was a first-team All-Pro in 2019. But, could you get a starting linebacker in the 3rd round? Evidently, they did not. Caleb Evans did not like this pick from the start, mainly because Reek Woolen was on the board. And I never understood the Caleb Evans selection. The rest of the class is, I mean, once you get past the 165 mark, you're just, anything that happens is if you get any sort of production at all. I know Esezi Otomoa was playing for the Steelers a little bit this year, but this is a horrendous draft class. So this is where everything started, right? You had the 2022 draft class that was Kwesi's first draft. It was atrocious all the way around. And in 2023, this was not exactly the best draft. I mean, it's hard to get worse than 2022, so it's a little better. Jordan Addison, obviously, he's a really good player. Kwesi can't control Jordan Addison when he does Jordan Addison when he does the stuff off the field. That's I mean, he's a really good player when healthy, when he's on the field. Mekhi Blackmon, they traded him away this year. That was a decision that I thought should have got a lot more criticism than it did. I did not like the trade at all this year to trade away Mekhi Blackmon prior to the 2025 season. Jay Ward he's a rotational guy. He doesn't play much. You see 50 games played, but he doesn't play too much, so he's also the 134th pick. I wouldn't really expect too much. Ja'Kalen Roy, nothing. Jaron Hall started one game, was awful. And Dwayne McBride, 222nd pick in the draft. Again, not to expect much, right? So, your first two classes, what you walk out with? Jalen Naylor, a wide receiver 3, and Jordan Addison, and that's it. I mean, that's your production. And then they also did sign Ivan Pace as a UDFA. Now, this is probably where a lot of people, this is where criticism should be had. Obviously, everybody's favorite meme that you get to joke about in 2024. 10th overall pick, highest quarterback selected in franchise history. They draft J.J. McCarthy 10th overall. Tough situation in the draft because the Patriots did not want to trade out of Drake May. Can't blame them. And you see the results. And whenever teams don't want to move off their pick, there's nothing that's going to come out of this. And that is, I mean, if a team doesn't want to trade off a player, they're not going to. So there's only so much in a little bit of defense of Kwesi. There wasn't anything he could do. That's just the honest truth. Dallas Turner's starting to look good, but Dallas Turner was a player the Vikings gave up a lot for. And, with Dallas Turner right now, he's 22 years old. He'll be 23 in 2026. Where I get concerned with Dallas Turner is this team basically gave up 2 middle drafts to go up and get him. Because they gave up, a 2 this year. It was a 2 in 24, a 2 in 25. And there was also like a 3 here, and then they traded up from 42 to 23, and then they traded up from 23 to 17, and they gave up something else like another 3. They gave up another 4. They gave up basically 2 rounds through 4 to go up and get Dallas Turner, and he has not been worth it. At least everything that was traded. I like Dallas Turner. I like the trajectory he's on, but right now Dallas Turner is not worth everything they gave up for him. We'll see what goes on from here. Kyrie Jackson, rest in peace. That is a tragic situation, and rest in peace. And there's literally nothing else that can be said about that other than rest in peace, and that's it. And then once you get past pick 177, I do want to credit Kwesi here. He drafted a legend, first team All-Pro, Will Reichert. He is awesome. Will Reichert is. I love Will Reichert. He is awesome. But, I mean, when you walk out of this class, again, there's literally nothing about the Kyrie situation other than to say rest in peace. But when you give up everything that you gave up for J.J. McCarthy, Dallas Turner, already having 2 bad drafts, you're in a bad situation. Now, I did see one comment about if all of these classes have been bad, what has he had to have done in free agency to have the success that they've had? And we'll get to that in a minute. The last draft class that Kwesi had was a one-man draft class. This was a horrible draft outside of Donovan Jackson. I like Donovan Jackson a lot, but Ty Felton over Alec Iomanner was a horrible pick. And then once you get, your pick 139, Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins, Kobe King, and Gavin Bartholomew. These 3 players, not really a lot you can ask too much for. But a 102nd pick, a virtual top 100 pick on Ty Felton, a player who was not a third-round prospect, who was pretty much a special teams gunner in his rookie year. I get it, man. And now the almighty elephant in the room that I'm sure you guys want to talk about. Sam Darnold. So with Sam in particular here, and by the way, just quickly, if you guys are enjoying, please like the stream, helps tremendously. I cannot thank you guys enough for the support. Just like I said, if you guys are enjoying, please, helps tremendously. And but before we get to the Sam part, I'm asking that because this is gonna be a several minute discussion here with Sam. So with Sam Darnold, one thing that I get frustrated with that people do not bring up regarding Sam Darnold is I don't think the Vikings have the success anywhere close to the level of success they do this year if they keep Darnold. Let me hold on. Pause there. They have the success that people think they're. I don't think they're playing in the Super Bowl with Sam Darnold. That was a definite pause there. I worded that extremely wrong. I don't think they have the success people think they do. That's the phrase that I wanted right there. So I had to pause that. I realized what I said. But the one thing that I think gets thrown around far too often is the Vikings bring back Sam Darnold. They are playing in this game next week against the Patriots. I personally could not disagree more. And also at the time, there's a lot going on. And there is a tremendous amount of hindsight with the Sam Darnold letting him go to Seattle. Because if the Vikings bring Sam Darnold back, if they match Seattle's offer, which they would not have because what has to be remembered is they had just spent a first-round pick on J.J. McCarthy, a 21-year-old quarterback who is the highest selected quarterback in franchise history. Anytime, and I want this to be emphasized here because it is simply not talked about, anytime Sam Darnold would have messed up, if Sam Darnold would have had a Rams game, the first game, and by the way, credit to Sam for rebounding because he just played one of the best games of his entire career in the NFC Championship game. Maybe the best game. I'm not ranking Sam Darnold games. One of the best games of his entire career in the NFC Championship game. But if he has that 4-interception game with the 10th overall pick backing him up that we have not seen in a year and a half, all you are going to see is Darnold stinks. You know when he plays the Rams that the lights get too bright. He can't handle a pass rush. All he is an interception machine. JJ needs to come in to save the season. That's all it would have been. So it is not as simple as bring Sam back and the Vikings go to the Super Bowl. So the one thing, and by the way, I'm not justifying the Sam decision. I'm quite literally talking out loud with all of this. We'll get to that more in a second. So entering the 25 season, you had two decisions to make. At the quarterback position, you had two paths. You go with the quarterback that things have changed a lot in the year, but when the Vikings needed him most, Sam Darnold folded in the Week 18 game against the Lions with 15 wins and the 1 seed on the line, and then in the wildcard round when you were sacked 9 times. There was one sack in particular against the Rams that it was a 3rd and 8. It was in the second half. It was actually, I think, at the start of the fourth quarter. The game was pretty much on the line at that point. Sam took one of the worst sacks that you'll see. It was situationally. It was an awful sack. Whenever you go into the offseason, there's, that those two games are fresh in everybody's mind. Sam had a great year, but what happened when it mattered? It was all of this but. And that was always going to be the thing. And JJ was coming off an injury, so if we do bring Sam back, what is the verdict with JJ McCarthy? Do we trade him while we can, even though he's coming off of an injury, and get maybe a 3rd or 2nd round pick for him despite just drafting him in the top 10? Because what if, by the way, what if they get a 2nd round pick for JJ McCarthy just 10 months after drafting him number 10 overall? I mean, you can live in whatever fantasy land that you want, but that's not something that happens in real life. Maybe you can do that in your Madden simulations, and you can already see that J.J. McCarthy was a 57 overall with C potential or whatever, but that is not something that happens in real life. You do not say, hey, we have this 21-year-old kid with a great work ethic who has look, say what you want about 9, get your jokes in. His arm and the things he can do, he is one of the stronger arms in the league, which is great for Kevin O'Connell's offense. And the fact that he has a really cheap contract so that we can actually build around him, which is something that Kwesi and Kevin wanted to do since they took over back in 2022. What really threw them for a loop was winning 13 games in 2022 because they wanted to play 1 year with Kirk and move on because of all of the money. And then they had to bring Kirk back because they won 13 games. Jefferson wins the Offensive Player of the Year. And that was a lot in their minds was, hey, do we basically have, a Kirk a couple of years later where we want to move on? We want to have the rookie contract. So I can understand the thought process of moving on from Darnold, letting him go to address the rest of the team. Because if they do not let Darnold go, if they bring him back, there's no Isaiah Rodgers, there's no Ryan Kelly, there's no Will Fries, there's no Javon Hargrave, there's no Jonathan Allen. And I understand that specifically that Allen, Hargrave, and Kelly did not work out to the level that you wanted, but pertaining to the vision of what this team had aligned for going on 3 years, or going into year 4 rather, I could understand where they were coming from. Now, the franchise tag is a complete, by the way, shout out Logan, hold on, it didn't actually come up, give me 1 sec here, there's one super chat, shout out Logan, I put my hat in the ring, I did offer the Vikings that I'm available if they want me, I put my hat in the ring, I am available, if we want. I would have drafted Elikayo Manor over Ty Felton, I would have drafted either Kyle Hamilton or Tyler Linderbaum at number 12 overall. There's decisions that we could have went the other way, and anyway, but the franchise tag is valid. If you want to criticize anything, that is completely fair. To say, hey, Sam, franchise tag, 1 year deal, whatever happens, we are riding with you no matter what. I think there is criticism to be had there. And that's, if you are going to pick apart one thing, go with the franchise tag, because I don't think that they should have said, here is a 3 year deal when we just drafted a quarterback number 10 overall, because I go back to this not being mythical fantasy land here in terms of like your Madden franchise or whatever. If the Vikings immediately extend Darnold for 3 years, roughly $35 million a year, their JJ McCarthy becomes essentially worthless as an asset to be able to trade in, entering the 25 season. He would essentially become Trey Lance, where it'd be like, hey, we have people over him, we never saw anything from him, and this was a waste of a first round pick. So I do, and also, by the way, I do understand where they were coming from. The process I will stand by in terms of, bringing in the free agents and bringing in all of that. I understand where they were coming from. That is very easy to get behind. That is very easy to say, hey, Sam, great year. We wish you luck elsewhere. But one thing that I will say is the one thing that I go back to is the Vikings team, and what I heavily emphasize is nowhere close to where the Seahawks team is. Nowhere close. Like it's not coaching staff. Clint Kubiak and Mike McDonald are better than Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores. The results show that, and maybe that's a hot take. I don't know, but they are they're a better coaching staff. The Vikings do not have a Nicky Manwari. They do not have a Devin Witherspoon. They do not have a Leonard Williams, a DeMarcus Lawrence. They have Grenard and Van Ginkel, but those guys were both hurt this year. There's a lot that went into this. So, all right, where's the same? What are the Giants here? Where's the same energy for making fun of the Saquon situation for the Vikings? I don't know how this is even. I don't know how Saquon's even relevant to this, but anyway, but. No, I get where they were coming from. All right, Minnesota is literally, here we go. Minnesota is literally a 14 win team again with Darnold. What are you talking about? I don't think so, because a lot of our wins were over the AFC South. A lot of our wins were over the NFC South. Or no, it was hold on. Who did we play in 24? Was it the NFC South? I feel like it wasn't. But regardless, we played the AFC South. That was very beneficial for obvious reasons. We actually played the NFC West, by the way. But anyway, look, Kwesi's fired, and it's a decision that I completely understand. And that's yeah, I get it. I get it, because this is a not great situation, and we played the AFC South and the NFC West because we beat the 49ers in week 2. Sam had a good game in or we played in Seattle last year where Jefferson had a walk-off touchdown or not a walk-off, but there was like 4 minutes to play. The Sam Darnold face mask game was on Thursday Night Football. That was the game where Byron Young like literally like ripped Sam's face mask like all the way around, was not called. And then the Cardinals game, they had a dramatic come from behind win from. That the Vikings probably should have lost, just being transparent about it. But no, it's this is just a situation I did not think was going to happen, because I thought if this decision was going to be made, thought it would have been made at right after Week 18, either Black Monday or on the Tuesday or Wednesday after. I can't say I like the process of this. Yeah, they're not hiring till after the draft is what they're saying. So Rob Brzezinski is going to lead the draft this year. He can't do any worse. I mean, he quite literally cannot do any worse than what we've seen with Kwesi. And what is also nice is the Vikings, the next GM, is not going to... They're not going to have any ties to J.J. McCarthy. So, this team is... I mean, they're going to be desperate for a quarterback this offseason. Whether it's trade for Mac Jones, whether it's... Kyler would not... I'll just be like... Kyler's not going to happen. Kyler would not... That's not going to happen. I'm not bringing up somebody else, but this team will be aggressive in it going after a quarterback. Hey, can we get Jefferson? Guys, Jefferson's contract. Jefferson's not going to get traded. Like, let's just straight to the point there. Jefferson's not going to get traded either. I promise. Malik Willis is a quarterback that would make sense. Anthony Richardson, you are a Viking. That is one I could actually see. But Kirk Cousins is probably the one that makes the most sense at this point. That is probably the one that makes the most sense, because I did see a report that Kirk is supposed to be released or expected to be released. That is the one that makes the most sense right this second. I cannot believe that Kwesi's fired the Friday before the Senior Bowl, and this is where we are. So, oh man. I'm just going through I'm looking at all the chats, making sure I'm not forgetting anything, because we addressed the draft. We addressed the draft history with Kwesi. And I will say, two of the best free agent signings that he had, and somebody asked about how this team was actually like kept together. How this team was kept together was, oh man, well, I got to stop and actually think about how this team was kept together. Jefferson and Darrisaw, they were Rick Spielman selections. This team has not had a good draft history. It's been brutal, and I can't get over how bad that 2022 class was. Josh Metellus was also a 2020 draft pick, but you look at free agent signings like Byron Murphy and Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel, even Brian O'Neill, who was he was a 2018 draft pick, so he was another Spielman pick. This team is what I would say over the past couple of years in some ways has been kind of, it's been like a shaky foundation of the house, and we've kind of tried to flex seal it through free agency. Is probably the best way that I would say. There's one comment that I'm going to read here. Let's give, FA kudos for being able to handle this dialogue. No, I mean, look, as soon as I saw it was happening, I couldn't believe. Like, I was just like, oh man, like I got to go live right now. So I had to make the quick thumbnail, and here we are. Good call on Blake Cashman, by the way, TJ. Good call. Whenever everything's happening live, like there's almost always a name that I forget. Good call on Blake Cashman as well. But no, I do also, and I don't think this was Kwesi specifically, but his staff, they found Jalen Redmond. Jalen Redmond is also a beast, by the way. He's awesome. He's number 61. I will say that I was going to do a stream just on head coaching hires, and I was going to talk, especially with the Browns hiring Todd Monken and John Harbaugh and Jeff Hafley and all of the hires. There will be a video eventually about that. We're still waiting on a couple of hires. But I was going to do a video, or I was going to do a stream about that, talking about that, and I was actually going to do that this afternoon. But this took precedent over that, obviously, because of how big this is. I will be transparent. I am not a fan of waiting until after the draft. Mainly just because, I don't know. I just, like, you're bringing in a GM, and this is all like snap of a finger. This is just where I'm standing on this right this second. But you're bringing in a GM that basically is going to have to say, hey, you guys drafted, I'm just going to toss a name out here. You guys drafted Caleb Banks in the first round, a defensive lineman from Florida. That was good, but actually I wanted for this team, again, I'm just tossing names out here. I wanted Mansour Delane, a corner from LSU, but you guys drafted Caleb Banks. So I'm already not a Caleb Banks guy. I can't say I like the process of that. That's one where I'm a little iffy on. And I understand the decision to fire Kwesi. Like, I can get the rationale behind it, especially with the draft history. But yeah, and this is a good username here. Big Bucks and Big Rack says Rob Brzezinski will run the front office till after the draft. Then we'll bring in a GM. Just weird to me. No, it's weird to me too. That's the part that I can't say I can get behind with this. Like, if you're going to move on from him, great. Like, do it. I'm glad it's before the combine. I'm glad it's before, everything. But why wait till after the draft to bring in a GM? The only, and this is, again, directly off the top of my head, the only team that I can remember in the past, and I've been following the NFL, I would say, really, really heavily, to like where I can tell you, like, the GMs and everything in the past, probably like 12 years. When you're like an 8-year-old kid, you're just like, oh, cool, that guy's awesome. You're not really looking at, like, the GM and who's drafted and hey, they didn't hit on that 3rd round pick 2 years ago and all that. It's probably the past, like, I don't know, 2013 was the first draft where I was like, man, like, I'm really into this. Like, this is awesome. The only time I can remember directly off the top of my head where they waited until after the draft, and please feel free to comment if there's any more, but the Jets did this with Joe Douglas in 2019. Like, I don't like this process at all. Would I sacrifice Meadow for Joe Burrow? Absolutely, positively not. Hell no. Meadow is my girl. She is awesome. I do want to, hold on. I got to figure out something. I did start a fundraiser recently on the channel, and I wanted, like, I don't know how to add that into the live stream. I've said before, I'm openly a dummy when it comes to technological stuff, but I did start a fundraiser recently, and it is to help Beagles. Oh, there it is. I found the fundraiser. Hold on. Hold on. Let me see if I can figure it out here. Hold on. Just bear with me for 1 second. No, so anyway, Beagles, this Meadow is a Beagle, by the way. Here it is. The Beagle Freedom Project. There it is. We're going to add this in here. Boom. Does it say, hold on, I'm going to hit join. I'm going to see if this will, did we add it? Let me know if you guys see it. It says changes saved. Anyway, I added it. I don't know if it actually comes up. I don't know how this part works. Never done this. But no, so wanted to start the Beagle Freedom Project. That is something that I do. Let me know if this comes up, by the way. Let me know if this comes up, because this is very new to me as well. But we did start a fundraiser. We want to help the Beagle Freedom Project, as well as eventually St. Jude's. Those are going to be the 2 charities that I'd like to work with or fundraise for. So let me know if that comes up. But anyway, to go back to, let me know if it comes up. They're saying it's not. We'll figure it out. But no, so anyway, to go back to Joe Douglas, it happened in like 2019 because Joe, like, apparently, like, at the time, Woody Johnson was over in England, like the ambassador to the United States or something, and it did not come up. I'll figure it out. So he was like the ambassador to like the president or something, and so that the owner of the Jets was over in England, and they had to wait till after the draft to make sure Woody was okay with it. That's to me is the only time that I remember that there actually being a, like, wait till after the draft for the new GM. I'm sure there's Oh, there we have a donation. We have our first donation to the Beagle Freedom Project. That's what's up. There we go. It's officially up. There we go. That's awesome. So let me go to... I'm going to talk about the Beagle Freedom Project for 1 second. The reason that I want to help fundraise for the Beagle Freedom Project in all of this is because I have had 2 beagles in my life, Meadow currently, and I had one growing up as well, Clover, RIP. Tremendous dogs. They are awesome. They are everything you could ever ask for in a dog. They're friendly. They're ready to play. They're awesome all around. They are very non-confrontational, and if you ever have one of those thoughts in your head where you think like, I just don't want to think about that because it's just bad thoughts. That's how I think about like this. Beagles get tested on because they are non-confrontational, like lab tested. And I'm not going to go into detail. You can use your imagination. It's bad. And a couple years ago there was 4,000 beagles. They had them in the state of Virginia in like some huge compound. They released them, and it's something that's personal to me. And it's so I want to start fundraising on the channel, and that is one thing that is very close to me is beagles, of course, with Meadow and Clover, and then eventually St. Jude as well. So we'll get to that is one thing that I would do. You guys are $20 donations already. That's unbelievable. But I've never done charity. I know Tom Grassi does it all the time. I know everybody knows Tom as well. Congrats to Tom on hitting 1 million subscribers recently. But I mean, he's paved the way for charity work, and he's awesome. And it's just like, like now that we've built a platform, if you will, I want to help out as well. So that's where all of this comes in. So that is anyway. That was the beagle part. So Meadow is, like I said, she's my girl. She is. There's like Meadow would not be sacrificed for Joe Burrow. That is how all of this came up. Meadow would not be sacrificed for Joe Burrow. That would, no, absolutely not. There is nothing. I would go ringless the rest of my life with the Vikings. Meadow would not be sacrificed for that. So let's just clear that one up there. Anyway, circling back, Kwesi's gone, and the last couple of things that I would say, like the bottom line, they're the 3 main points. I get it. That makes sense. Understand the process. Do not like the timing. Do not like the process in which the way the team is going about it, specifically with no GM till after the draft. And I would, oh Jesus, dude, Joseph Belinsky hat tip 50. Dude, I plan to do a lot more of these. I really do. So that's incredible. But I don't like the timing. Understand the decision. But the one thing that I also say is truly when you get to June or May or June or July, whenever you bring in a new GM for the Minnesota Vikings next year, who's going to be available in June that's going to say, hey, I want to take this job? That's the bottom line as to why I do not like the decision to wait till after the draft. So that would be the biggest one. So, but I just want to say that there are a lot of super chats that I promise I'll get to. So everybody that is donated, I appreciate it. And Coding for Soup, new member, appreciate it. Hat tip. But so there are going to be a lot of super chats that we're going to get to now. But that was wanted to break down Kwesi getting fired, and that was that was the thing that I wanted to hammer home. Don't like the timing, but I understand the decision. And I also understand the decision to let Darnold walk in real life. I do understand that. I do. Calvin, appreciate it as well. Appreciate it, Calvin. Appreciate it. Hat tip. But now for... Oh, Hoops reference. Jason is in here. Do I miss Darnold? No, I miss people. What I don't like is people telling me exactly how I feel. And that is like, it's like, hey, Darnold's going to the Super Bowl. You're a loser Vikings fan. Ha ha. You suck. I don't like that. Sam, personally, He represented the organization in the best way possible. He did everything the right way. It was unfortunate how it ended. I don't like people saying, "Hey, buddy," and then like try to subtly emasculate you in every way and say, "Actually, this is how you feel." That's what I don't like. But for Sam personally, like, he's out on the West Coast. He's a West Coast kid, USC, living his dream. Probably going to be a Super Bowl champion. We'll do the Super Bowl stream next week. Probably going to be a Super Bowl champion. Good for Sam, man. Good for Sam. So, now I'm going to get into super chats. So, that is gonna wrap up, like, for the sake of this. Everybody that sent a super chat in, I will get to now. So I just wanted to say that. Panda, appreciate the donation to the Freedom Project. And all right, let's see here. One board. All right, 50. Appreciate it, man. That's a lot here. Appreciate it. Don't take this the wrong way. Or don't think this the wrong way. A lifelong Seahawks fan. Thank you for Sam Darnold and the potential of righting the wrong 11 years ago. I purchased my Super Bowl tickets this morning. That's awesome, man. Hoping the Vikings also right the wrongs. Dude, I'll say this. We never, when we play you guys, we never play. It's never a dull game in any way. It's always we have never played a normal game against each other. I could take you back to the one game Anthony Harris in 2019 on Monday night had a pick six off a ball that Russ like deflected. It was like he was trying to like bat it like a volleyball, and it I think it went right up into his arms. Pick six. I think DK had a big touchdown that game. There was one game we lost on Monday night at Seattle. Laquan Treadwell had like a 60-yard touchdown. Somebody like fell down. Blair Walsh, dare I say. We've never had a normal game. But dude, that's awesome. And enjoy. I mean, have a great time. Truly have a great time. And guys, everybody that has donated to the Beagle Freedom Project, Anonymous, K-Hogs, My Pet Bearded Dragon, Avery, Joseph, that guys, I appreciate it. And I did see Joseph say something to the effect of he had a Super Bowl dog, which was a Beagle, and it was from 1985 to 01. So and it was a Beagle. So RIP. And Beagles, I'm telling you, man, they know how to, they know how to just pull the emotional heartstrings. I'll say that. All right, let's see here. Rygum, appreciate it. Thoughts on the Minter hire? I like it with a competent OC, drafting some O-line and more weapons for Lamar. I think the Ravens could be back. Agree. Love the Minter hire. And I also would like them. I would like the, hold on here. Why are we not? I would like for the Ravens to draft Mekhi Lemon. And also, any pet does. You're right. Yes, we love all dog. Let's just, by the way, clarity. We love all dogs, not just Beagles. I did not want that to be like let me just pull this string. No, we love all dogs. Not let's just clear the air on that one. All right, let's see here. So the super chats are not like coming up here, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do here on this end, because there's a lot of super chats, and I don't know if it's because the fundraiser was like I put it in the middle. I'm gonna go up and just. There were a lot of super chats, guys. Hold on. I need to figure out how to do this. I don't want... Let me... Hold on. I'll figure this out. But it is not... Let's see if I can go all the way up. It's not letting me go all the way up. And that's a problem. And I don't know what to do for everybody that's sending super chats, because I promise I'm going to figure this part out. What if I end... Can I end the fundraiser? And then... I don't want to end the fundraiser. But I promise I'll get to the super chats. I appreciate everybody that sent them. I just don't know how to get to the super chats. I'm telling you guys, like I said, I'm not smart in terms of how we... Oh, wait, actually, let me try something here. This is going to be 1 second here. And then I promise we are going to... I'm going to read all the super chats, but like I said, guys, Kwesi, I get it. It makes sense. I just can't believe that we actually did it, like, today. And that would be the one where I'm so shocked by that. All right, here we go. I have all the super chats, guys. Appreciate it. I have all the super chats. Here we go. All right, I'm going to read them. So, here we go. All right, there we go. We got it. Good, better, best. There's your good, better, best, by the way, whoever just asked that. So, super chats. From My Pet Bearded Dragon says, Unca's so happy, immediately went live. I wouldn't say, I mean, like, I get it, but there's also a human element where it's like, hey, like, you just lost his job, although it's definitely warranted, but I get it. BW Games says, I was listening to a video about Mendoza, then immediately saw the news from you going live. This is shocking timing. Exactly. That is the biggest one where I am absolutely shocked by the timing of this. That is the one where that's the one that I'll go back to, is I think it's poor timing. Get the decision, poor timing. H. Brazzy DMs me regularly about Jalen Hurts. His super chat says Jalen Hurts is not good. He actually used ass was the word. Sam Darnold is carried. None of anything they do on the field counts. Lamar, Pat, Josh, Joe, and now even Stafford are definitively better than 85% of quarterbacks already in the hall. I saw a lot of people replying to that, and that's I disagree. 85% of quarterbacks in the hall. I mean, if you're going back to like Joe Namath and Ken Stabler, who both had negative TD to INT ratios, that's a different conversation. We can't talk about the 1960s and in the 2020s. So, Jalen Hurts, he's fine. Sam Darnold, one of the best games of his career. And then he said, another super chat. Sam is also ass. I failed to specify, but I wanted to be clear. I like that. Lamar, 50 touchdowns incoming. I like Lamar. I would enjoy that. Catalyst says 100% on board with the firing. Time to get better at drafting. Agree. Also, we appreciate Sam Darnold here in Seattle. I would agree with everything you said there. I get it. Justin says Adofo-Mensah and John Robinson are on the same level as GMs. It's close. Close. I both made a horrendously bad trade. It's close. It's really close. It's really close. All right, let's see here. Looking at this as a Pinhead Larry, nice username, says, looking at this as a Bears fan, drafting was awful. You're right. But to be fair, the Sam Darnold decision was also awful. We just spent 20 minutes on that. I get it. I get it. I get where you're coming from. The drafting, definitely awful. Get it. H. Brazia says, another super chat, a part of me is glad Sam, Brock, and Jalen have been the quarterbacks of teams the past few years in the NFC, shows the importance of coaching and infrastructure while also exposing ring culture as dumb AF. Ring culture is very bad. Ring culture is very bad. There's been a lot of talk about Shador being a Pro Bowler and everything, and it's just everything. It's a toxic culture, man. Like, it is. Ring culture is toxic. So, agree. All right, let's see here. My Pet Bearded Dragon says, also worth noting the Vikings are negative $49 million over the cap. Honestly, I kind of disagree with the cap situation is not ideal, but I will say this, that the Vikings cap situation is not bad. So, by the way, hold on. I do want to pin this here. I'm going to have this on the screen. Beagle Freedom, this is also why. Beagle Freedom Project is about rescuing and rehoming animals used in experimental research, not just beagles and not just dogs, to be clear. Thank you for this, and that's going to stay on the screen for a while. Like, probably the rest for a while. So I do appreciate you clarifying. That was probably also a bad explanation by me, but that was one thing that I'm glad that you did clarify that, and that is part of the fundraiser. It is rescuing animals in experimental research. And I will say this, if you are not aware of the experimental research, I would say do not look it up unless you want to be sad. Just don't. But that's one of the fundraisers that we're partnering with, or I'm not profiting from it. Raising money for. That's the better term. All right. Wolf of Iowa says, can we get Rick Spielman back? I wouldn't be opposed. Just, maybe not have 13 7th round picks every year. Gustavo says, any thoughts on the Eagles' new OC, Sean Mannion from Green Bay, also getting the Bucs OC as the passing coordinator. So Josh Grizzard is the passing coordinator. Typically when somebody gets fired as a coordinator, that's generally how it goes, is they have to work their way back up. So I feel like that should be a positive. You have a play caller in there as a coordinator. I feel like even though he was bad with the Bucs, I feel like it's, he's in a lesser role. So I feel like that should be viewed as a positive. He's in a lesser role, so he can work his way back up. He's going to do everything he can to work his way back up. He's going to work his tail off. I like that. Now, Sean Mannion Sean Mannion, dude, he was awful as a player. He was in the Max Brosmer tier. So I just had to get that off my chest. 2021, Vikings playoff chances on the line. Kirk missed the game at Lambeau. I think we were down like 21-0, like 12 minutes left in the second quarter. We got smoked at Lambeau. Sean Mannion did not lead us to success that night. But I feel like Sean Mannion would be the guy that would be a coach, a not good NFL player, good NFL coach. I mean, I like that for Sean Mannion. All right, let's keep it rolling here. Nesquick says, I know it feels reductive, but given the timing, feels like Vikings ownership not excited to watch Darnold in the Super Bowl. You're very fair on that. That's very, very fair. All right, Avery just says congrats. Just congrats. I mean, it's congrats, but it's also like, hey, we don't have a GM for 5 months. So, Johnny is in the chat. He says, can't believe, with Johnny Barks, the legend, can't believe they made him go to the Senior Bowl, just fire him when he got back. I agree, Johnny. We did talk about that earlier, but that was one thing I didn't like either. Johnny is also he's like Tom Grassi's one of his, I don't know if it's his leading editor. I think he's his leading editor. So Johnny, we did start fundraising for the Beagle Freedom Project, and we're also going to start with St. Jude soon. And, you know, Tom is a big inspiration for that. So that's just wanted to, you know, put that out there. And, you know, that's one thing that you give back, you know what I mean? So Johnny, that's, if you could, I don't want to say if you want to tell Tom, but that's, you know, it's like give, you know what I mean? Like the paving the way, if you will. Appreciate it, Johnny. Rodrigo says, does Minnesota promote internally? A bit late to fire Kwesi. It's probably going to be external when the decision comes, would be my guess. Zulik says, Rob Brzezinski's been with the Vikings since 1999. He knows the history. I will say this positively about Rob Brzezinski. He has some of the highest respect you will hear among, like, internal guys in the NFL. Like, he is a cap, like, wizard. So, yes. So, he's awesome in that regard. JMC says, how are we feeling about the Raiders? Kubiak? It's not confirmed, is it? It's not. I know that he's the leading guy. I would love that for them. I would absolutely love that for them. But I don't think he's officially the leading guy yet. But I would love that. All right, let's keep it going here. Dan Demand says, I was at the Vikings game in Seattle last year. Oh, you were at the Max Brosmer game. Okay. Didn't think I'd be watching the quarterback that takes us to the Super Bowl. Unless he's referring to the 2024 game. I don't know. Either way. Oh, he'd be referring to the 24 game because, yeah. The 24 Vikings game in Seattle was awesome. Justin Jefferson had 2 touchdowns. He also had an unsportsmanlike conduct for, he pointed his gritty at somebody when he got in the end zone, and then had he had the game-winning touchdown later. No big deal. And Dallas Turner also had an interception in that game. He picked off Geno. Neutral Bears fan says, why did they wait a month to fire him? I don't like that. I'm with you. And I'm with you. I don't like that as well. So make sure that we have all of the other super chats here. You did say last season. I'm just clarifying. I'm making sure that I have all the super chats. Rye Guy, we discussed the Minter hire. Kool-Aid Man says, wisdom teeth just got pulled out. Am I cooked? Good luck, buddy. I did not have wisdom teeth, mainly probably because there's not a lot of wisdom up in this noggin of mine. That was a joke. Hopefully somebody got a little chuckle out of that. I would assume you're cooked, though. I mean, a couple days, ice cream, and, the whole thing. Good luck. Drew Bob says, I really like what Tennessee is doing. Really like Saleh and Dable. And hope Dable solidifies the weaknesses in offense. They got good picks and a lot of cap. I love what the Titans are doing. I love what the Tennessee Titans are doing. I could not agree more. I absolutely love what the Titans are doing. So very, very, very happy for the Titans, their fan base, and the outlook of the organization for the Titans. So, but that is going to wrap up today's stream. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and everybody that gave super chats, gave donated to the Beagle Freedom Project, cannot thank you guys enough. That is one thing that I want to work towards in the next over the next several months. Discuss some things on the channel coming up as well. But appreciate everybody that came through. If you could like the stream on your way out, would very much appreciate it. But that will wrap it up. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. And as always, until next time, please be safe. And, oh, Johnny Barks on the way out. Johnny Barks, 50 piece on the way. Johnny, I appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. On the way out, hat tip. But anyway, as always, until next time, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.